Welcome back to another episode of the Experts in Fire podcast. I'm your host, Mike Vennard, and with me today is Randy Mowry. Today's episode is choosing the right island for your gas grill. Let's get into it. Hey Randy, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you today, Mike?
Pretty fantastic myself. I got my coffee mug here, and I'm talking to you. It doesn't get any better than this, man.
No better than that. I agree with you.
So, Randy, we're going to talk about islands today.
All right.
And there are so many things in my brain that just start running through, but we've kind of broken it down into a couple categories here. And when it comes to islands for your gas grill, and you know, folks, what we're assuming here is that you've kind of picked out a grill that you like, and there are options. But what we're going to do is we're going to start in the spot where here is a pre-built island. This thing is going to ship to you. You can take it off a truck for your client and put it in place, and it's really just a matter of selecting what you want on said island. Is that right, Randy?
Yeah, absolutely. So islands are, it's the chassis that holds the engine. Unless you have a grill on a cart, you need some place to put that grill. And, it really comes down to your pre-built islands that are set by a certain criteria manufacturer. They pre-build them and then ship them to your house, and then custom built. And we build custom built islands all day, kind of like our fire pits. We can really build any shape, size type of thing.
I'm sitting here thinking, if I'm a pro out there and I'm listening to this, any tips and tricks you could get, because a lot of landscapers, a lot of pros, a lot of architects are trying to design, right? So I feel like the pre-built is a great place to start, just to say, here, this is going to help you select the grill, because the grill comes with the island. You're just kind of picking what you want. Let's walk through that process, and then we can walk into the custom world from there.
I think it's a great place to start as well. So pre-built island. When we say pre-built, it means that you are going to call us and we're going to run through, of course, what size grill somebody wants. So each pre-built manufacturer is going to have a grill option that is exclusive to their pre-built grill island. Okay. Whether that's like a 32-inch grill to a 48-inch grill. So you should, have some options there. And then the island itself, sizing wise, these manufacturers, even though it's pre-built, they're going to have options from 4 foot all the way to like possibly 6 or 7 feet, as a pre-built island. The pre-built island is going to provide choices of countertop. Typically what you're going to find there, Mike, is porcelain style tile on top of it. They're typically 12 by 12 tiles that are on top as the countertop surface. And then either just a spray on stucco on the vertical sides, or some type of dry stack stone. So it's going to have the finished materials. But then the cool thing is in a pre-built is if somebody, Mike, wants a sink, they'll have an option for a sink. If they want a refrigerator in an island, they're going to have the option not only for the refrigerator from that manufacturer, but they will have the cutout left, right, what side they want these things on. And then, of course, access doors, drawers that pull in and out. So the pre-built islands are great because it kind of encapsulates everything that possibly somebody could want in a grill island from one manufacturer. The island is completely built at that manufacturer, and then it ships to the customer. And once it's unloaded, folks are just dropping their grills in, sliding the refrigerators in place. The electrician and plumbers are coming out and making their connections. Because with those pre-builts, Mike, the electrical outlets are going to be built into the sides. They're going to be built into the underneath cavity for the refrigerator. But it's all done. It's all done. Like I said, it is pre-built to the sizing, the specs. It's kind of like it's like a car. They engineer these cars. These are how they're built. This model's built this way. This model's built this way. And it's the same way with pre-built islands, Mike. They have this size with these options. They have this size with these options, and then this size with these options, and everything is shipped to the client, ready to go. And like you mentioned, landscapers, in a lot of cases, they love that version, and their clients may like it because it's something that they don't have to build. They don't have to get their crews out there and build it, because sometimes those things could be time consuming.
So just to help clarify the point for everyone who's listening, if you select a 36-inch grill, other things are going to play off of that. So your doors below that grill are going to have to match in size. You don't want a 24-inch door with a 36-inch grill up above. So when you do one of these pre-built islands, it kind of makes decisions for you. If I choose a huge grill, a 48-inch, let's say, I'm on particular islands, it's going to say, no, that's all you're going to get is the grill and the doors below. You don't have the option of a refrigerator or anything like that anymore. So it's a great place for folks to start. It's a great place for, like I said, we have pros who are just going to bang out 7, 8, 9 of this particular style, whether it's an L shape or just a straight or a U shape that is pre-built, because they know what it's going to come like. They know where the electrical is going to have to come up. They know where the gas is going to plumb up, and they can set everything up and then just set that island right on top of everything. Connections done, and you're out the door. So it's a great option. There are some caveats to it, though. And I know, Randy, you and I for years have worked on trying to overcome this. The larger the pre-built island you get, you have to consider delivery on this thing, because it's going to show up on a truck. And sometimes, depending on the size, there's up to a certain size will fit on a lift gate, and they'll be able to lower it to the ground and put it curbside. But then your pro, or you as a customer, if you try to get one of these on your own, are going to have to figure out how to get this into your backyard. And there are so many things that friends will do for beer and pizza, right? Or an invite to the first party around the new grill island.
Right.
So those are things to consider, forklifts and how you're going to move these things into the place that they're going to rest. But that's some of the beauty of the pre-built.
Yeah, and I'd like to just piggyback off of that, Mike, because that's a great point as far as taking the delivery. And what I was going to mention is the great thing about a pre-built is you're not subject to doing a pre-built with the stone and the tile top like we talked about. And we also have pre-builts that are powder coated steel. That same scenario. You can choose your colors, but it is a powder coated steel, which is going to have the cutouts, the grill options. And that particular island can come down as a knockdown, or we use those in scenarios where possibly we're in the inner city and it's a condo, it's a rooftop, and the metal powder coated units that are pre-built, same thing, have all the sizes, the sizes as we mentioned, and some of the options that we mentioned on the unit that's going to have the stone. However, you're looking at, and I'm just going to use numbers, please don't hold me to this, less than a third of the weight. A couple guys can carry it, or they can be broken down, and these things can go into a freight elevator and go into the rooftops. So much lighter weight. So we have pre-built options for folks that are manageable to get from the curb to the house. And I think of places where we do a lot of California. You've lived in California, so there's a lot of places that unless you have a crane, you're not going to get an island onto a property. And that's where these powder coated units come into play easy. So there are options available in pre-built. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick, Mike.
Randy, we were at a show and we displayed one of those powder coated units, and it took 2.5 of us to lift it out of the crate. It was unbelievable. And when we were standing there talking with the manufacturer, we were talking about how cool it was to be able to just pick this thing up, move it around. He looked at us and said, guys, the best part about this is you can buy this, put it in your yard on your patio, and if you move, throw it in the bed of your truck.
Take it with you like your grill. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, bro. That is such a true statement. So yes, definitely positives to the pre-built that to me go a long ways. You have fire-related questions, and we have answers. You can email us your questions at podcast@woodlanddirect.com or give us a call at 586-221-3638. We would love to be able to answer them right here on the Experts in Fire podcast. We live in a digital era, and we see a lot of cool things. And I tell you what, we also put out a lot of custom-built islands. So let's slide into that custom-built island and kind of what we can offer to our clients And then we're also going to talk to custom built or on site built that our landscape pros build themselves.
Sure. No, absolutely. Yeah. Woodland Direct, I've been here for over 12 years now, and we do a lot of custom built barbecue grill islands. And when we say custom, it's truly custom for the client, and whether the grill size, the shape, whether it's like it's going to roll to an S or it's a U shape, it's pretty unlimited when it comes to that. When Woodland Direct builds an island, we're first going to find out exactly not only the shape, but we're going to find out what products the client wants. Because those are really going to also depend, like you mentioned before, is a 48-inch grill with the clearances and spacing could turn into 6 feet just for the grill of space that you need. So we want to find out first what appliances somebody wants. So Woodland Direct, our islands are built out of all metal stud construction and hardy board, non-combustible, water impervious boarding on the, so it's ready to be, have your stone, whatever top surface you're going to put on it. So that's how we build our islands. And it's going to have the correct cutouts for that grill. It's going to have the correct cutouts for the doors and drawers, the refrigerator, the access door under the grill. It's going to have the correct cutouts for where the electrician's going to put an outlet on the top surface if somebody's putting blenders because they are a margarita family. And it's going to have all the correct cutouts everywhere, Mike.
That is one of the things that once you go custom, we're going to get the drawings together. We're going to send those along as an installing pro. You're going to be able to have those in hand because a lot of what you're going to need to know is where are these openings for, let's say, electrical, for the gas. The last thing I want anyone to do is stub up and have to run another run of pipe to get to the grill. If we can keep that underground and just pop up out of the ground and be rocking and rolling, that's what we're going to do for you. So we work closely with the pro on how this thing is going to work dimensionally, where it's going to sit, and then give him the drawings so he can actually figure out where it's going to sit and where everything needs to stub up from the ground to make sure that it's going to be a great connection and a great experience for their customer. Again, when you go with a custom built like we're talking about here that we can put together for someone, it's ready to finish. One of the things, Randy, that I always stress to folks is the thickness of your countertop. That is one of the benefits of going with a custom built is you can put the stone you want. Instead of going with a 12 by 12 tile, you can put your stone on there. But it's important, and catch this for all of our pros who are listening out there, I'm going to know the cutout for the grill. Whatever grill that you've selected, that's information that can be obtained easily. But there's a drop-in depth for said grill, but we have to take into account the thickness of the countertop because that grill's going to set down onto the countertop. So if it's 1 inch, if it's 1.5 inches, it's 1 3/4 inches, it needs to fit perfect. So that's something that I stress it to folks because they're like, well, no, we got the granite and now my grill doesn't sit all the way down, or it sits too far up and there's a gap down there, and now we're working with stainless steel to try and place in there to kind of hide that little gap. These are the things that we need to know well in advance when it comes to custom built islands.
Oh, exactly. And, in a couple of the benefits, of course, from, when we build grill islands for our clients and our contractors is for our contractors, especially, what it does is it frees up time for them to be doing other projects that are going on the property. So they don't have their team members tied up building the island itself. So they can be finishing up other landscape, and maybe they've got to do the pavers yet, or maybe they're building the pool. So what they're doing is we're building the island for them. These can be cut into sections that are manageable to be carried from the curb to the backyard. And then they're just bolting them together. And then, like you said, they're putting their finished material on them. All of the cutouts are per the specifications for each appliance. Like you mentioned, the grill in the depth. So, because there is some key measurements in islands that are real important based on the finish material, especially if a client is going to put like some type of dry stack stone on the face of it, but they want their doors to be flush. So there's some recessed depth there. So, that has to go into the build of the custom part of the island, when building it for a client. So yeah, there's a lot of important information there. So when we talk about not only saving time, but then that time also results in saving money when we're building custom islands for our contractors while they're doing other projects at the house. And then also, we don't expect folks, and what I mean by that is like homeowners, to know how to build an island. We don't expect folks to know that. That's what we're here for. So that's the other side of when we're building these custom islands for folks, is it's for the end user homeowner. That we've helped them select the components they want. We're going to build the island, and it's going to arrive. Like you mentioned, beer and pizza. They're going to couple buddies. They're going to set it in place, and then the local store that they're buying their granite from, they're going to come out and put the material on because it's ready to go.
It really is one of the crowning jewels of a yard to hang out. I love my fire pit. I have a couple more fire pits that I'm going to place in my yard here. I'm excited to get this project going in my backyard to put in the island that we have, so that it's just a place where you're going to hang out. Instead of a grill on a cart and you're kind of standing around this grill on a cart talking, now all of a sudden you can be cooking, you can have folks sitting around on bar chairs and, like you said, mixing margaritas or doing whatever, and you're a part of the whole thing, So I love talking about islands. There is one more, Randy, when it comes to custom built on site. What do our pros need to know who go out there? And we deal with a lot of landscapers who they're gonna build it out of block. We've talked to some of the guys up here in the Northeast who have said, man, we like those other ones you guys have, but they have some reservations or whatever. Get it, man. I get it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I have quite a few of my contractors that do site built islands. First, we want to make sure that they're safe. We want to make sure that they're putting in the proper ventilation. So one of the things that we didn't really touch on with pre-built and our custom built is there's ventilation that's required in these islands. You've got a gas grill there. If it's propane tank, there's a tank underneath it. If there's a refrigerator, you have heat coming off that condenser. So there's going to be vents to let air, excess gas, if there's ever a leak on your gas grill where the tank is, to escape so that you don't have any safety concerns. So when we're talking custom site built, we like to go over these things. And like I mentioned, I have several that they build their islands out of stone, you mentioned, and they site build everything out of stone. Okay, we're gonna help them. Where do you need vents? What size vent do you need? Making sure that the island, Mike, is built out of all non-combustible. What I mean by non-combustible is, and we've seen in the past where somebody has come out and built an island for a client, and we always ask for pictures, especially if it's something that's pre-built and they're just trying to buy a grill for it. And then we look and we find that island was built out of non-treated lumber, and then in some cases treated lumber. There's chemical issues that are there with treated lumber. Those are combustible materials. Built-in grills, some grill manufacturers have the options of insulated jackets that insulate it in a scenario like that if it's combustible, and some do not. There are quite a few different things there when they're site built. You already mentioned one big one that happens, the consideration for the depth of the grill when they're putting a countertop on isn't there. But they can be built. We have our contractors, landscapers that are using their own landscaping stone, but it's just making sure that they're using the correct dimensions when they're doing those cutouts to meet their client's need based on the product they're choosing.
Absolutely, Randy. And I think that's the biggest thought, is getting our pros and getting our listeners the information that they need so that they have that type of data. They're pros for a reason. They do an excellent job. So what we want to do is just make sure we give them the information they need when it comes to those dimensions. And then also any expertise or advice that we may have when it comes to the type of stone that they're going to use. Those are the two places that I feel like helping in that custom built on-site arena is the stainless, the dimensions of said stainless, And then what are you finishing this with? Because we run into issues like you mentioned earlier with stacked stone, and we want these doors and drawers to be flush with the stacked stone, or you want it to be recessed. Or I always think of field stone, split field stone. Sometimes it's just beautiful, but man.
You are just not flushing it sometimes.
That stone is not being nice right now. So
yeah, right.
No, those are the three major things that we can work with you on, help you with, we have experience with. So don't hesitate to call us, contact us, and let us know. And with that said, Randy, is there anything else that you wanted to throw in when it comes to islands?
No, I don't think so. As we always preach, and it's probably the most important thing about everything that we do with fire is safety. We just want to make sure people are safe. Sometimes it's just not a thought in someone's head, and we don't expect folks to know how to build these things and or do these things. That's what we're here for. So lean on us and use us.
That's fair. In the last episode, we talked about some of the safety issues and where you're going to put this. Look up. Always look up. Make sure you're using fire, especially if you have a power burner, but your grill in and of itself has heat coming off of it. So make sure you're looking for trees, or if you have a pergola or something above you, make sure that you have open air space. And then I think one of the big ones that we talked about in the last episode, Randy, was putting it against the house. I get it. It's beautiful. And some people have a deck and they want to slide the island right against the house so they can enjoy the deck. I understand. That makes perfect sense. But you even mentioned last time that will melt your siding. And there are certain code requirements.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Placement is going to be key. Definitely goes back to the safety part of it. We don't want no one burning anything down, overhead, things of that. I think if I had one kind of last thing to think about when folks are doing these is, when you mention placement, is the weight. If you're putting something on a pre-existing deck and or patio, you want to always consider the end use weight. When this is all built, if it's custom built from the ground up, it's a different story. If it's a custom built island on a pre-existing surface, you want to consider the weight. A pre-built island could weigh up to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 pounds, depending on the size. A custom built island could weigh the same based on the stone countertops you're doing. A site-built island out of stone could weigh that. So always consider the weight and placement. If it's a wood deck, you want to make sure that you have the understructure that's going to support it.
That's a great point, Randy, because it's always easier to support your deck before you put the 5,000 pounds on there than it is to
jack it up afterwards and do it after.
Yeah,
exactly.
For sure. And these are some of the areas where I understand, man. I live inside a budget as well, as we all do in certain ways, and you're constantly having to look at everything. Don't cut corners when it comes to safety. And that's the thing that we stress all the time. And a lot of it's because it's just not worth it. To quote a good friend of ours, we're only here for a minute. And what I don't want to do is end up hurting myself or others for dollars. It just doesn't make sense, Anyway, Randy, as always, we're going to say this to our listeners. Please, please, please get a hold of us. Contact us. If there isn't something that was talked about here that you would like discussed, reach out to us. There are several ways to get a hold of us. We'd love to talk to you, or love to answer your question right here over the podcast. So please reach out to us. We'd love to help you in any way that we can. And as always, Randy, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, brother. Randy's a 100% commission sales rep, and he takes hours, a couple Fridays a month, to spend time with us to do this. So Randy, bravo to you, brother. I really appreciate it, man.
Oh, no, it's awesome. I appreciate you guys. And like always, everybody out there, stay safe and have a great afternoon.
Join us next time for Gas Fire Pits, the importance of media. We'll see you then.